Hello, welcome to my screenshot tutorial on creating this fibrous looking background image. This is this was one of the first things that I learned whenever I started using Photoshop, and I think it's a really interesting thing to make. It looks really cool, it's pretty simple, and it gets you using the filter gallery and learning how filters work. So I've got an example here that you can see what it'll look like. It's kind of a rooty, fibrous kind of thing. But we will start here by going to File and New. And you will see that there are some presets to select from. You could select a paper if you intended to print it, but I'm going to go with Web. I'm going to pick the 1600 size. You're going to start by picking a color over here. It usually starts with black and white when you first bring it up. So pick any kind of random color. It doesn't really matter because we'll be able to change the color at the end, but I like to start off with a color in there. Now we're going to start by going to Filter and down to Render, and we want to do Clouds. And you'll see some clouds generated with those colors. It can be nice if you went with blue. It'll kind of look like a sky. But after that, we're going to do Filter, and then we need to go to Filter Gallery. Filter Gallery is really useful because you can see not all of, but most of the different filters that are offered, and you can go through and test them out. We're going to go down to Stylize, however, and select Glowing Edges. And you can kind of already see my example over here, what it's looking like. I zoomed out a couple of times so you could see it better. Now yours probably didn't start off looking like this. Mine has been adjusted from my previous kind of editings over here. Yours might have looked a little more fuzzy. So over here is how we affect the filter itself. And for this one, I found it's best, you get the best effect if you bring the smoothness all the way up. The edge brightness, kind of in the middle, and the edge width down a little bit. Down too much and it gets too dark, and up too much and it gets too fuzzy. So there's kind of a good spot that you can find. It's usually somewhere around 4, 5-ish maybe, somewhere around in there. You're kind of getting that texture that you want. So we'll click OK. Now you can see we've got the basic structure of our image here. In order to change the color, however, you've got some different options. We'll go over to Image, and we'll go to Adjustments. And here you have to decide whether you want a darker color or a lighter color. If you want a lighter color, select Invert. That will make your background white, and you can alter the color on top of it. If you want a darker color, just skip that step. Or if you decide later that you want a darker color, just come back here and click Invert. Also, the shortcuts are super easy or super helpful with Photoshop, and you can always do Control-I. But now we're going to go to Hue and Saturation so that we can change the color. I like to do Colorize. And here you can pick what color you would like for it to be. So let's say we want a good, maybe that purple color that I was starting with at the beginning. And we could ramp up the saturation so that it looks more bold. And if we want it to be darker or lighter, we could change that over here. If you want kind of a faint background, up the lightness on it. Maybe we'll go with more of a bluish color there. Something like that. I like that. So there you have it. There's the image generated. Now in order to save your work, let's go up here to File, Save As. We'll give this that meaningful title. And we'll save it. I'm going to save it to my desktop so that I can find it here in a minute because I'm working on it. But normally you would want to save this in a pretty dedicated location with your other like files. And I'm saving it currently as a Photoshop. But if I wanted to share it, with a friend or email it and they didn't want to edit it, I could save it as a JPEG, or I could save it as a PDF, Photoshop PDF. And that way I would be able to send it or use it in other applications. So I'm going to go ahead and click Save. Thank you so much for joining me for this tutorial. I hope it helps.